So if you find that clients are not able to see each deliverable you do, and you feel like the work you're putting into your client's work or to a certain work you're doing is not being appreciated by the other person, then you'll need to watch this video. Because today I'm going to be breaking down why this happens and then why this leads to client churn. This is going to lead to clients, basically leaving, because even though you might provide amazing results for them, they're not seeing that. And we're going to dive into the psychology and why this actually happens. But when my name is Diego, and I work with agency owners and coaching businesses, basically build fulfillment engines that reduce client churn from basically improve efficiency overall. And today is a very, very important topic we're going to be talking about, which is going to be client interfaces specifically. But we're going to be starting out with why this actually happens. So let's just delete all of this and get into the actual video. Okay, what you must be experiencing right now, probably, right? You're losing 10 to 50,000 annually per churn client. You can't see the work that you're putting in. Either it's internally or the client can see it, right? So clients getting desperate after 2 to 3 weeks. Maybe your onboarding kind of sucks and you take a long time to kind of make sure the client gets the first deliverable. The first deliverable, I mean, let's say it's a Facebook ad agency, get their first ad up, right? But there's work that happens before that the client doesn't see, that they might be getting desperate at. And this is what is actually causing, churn and everything. The problems are going to be client churn, painful clients, regular fires. You have to put out an overall bad experience in clients. I work with like across entire different service categories, and this is usually pretty much the same thing. And this stays, this is a contributor definitely to clients basically churning at a 30% monthly churn rate, which is pretty bad for most agency models, right? So the client intrusive thoughts as we go can be for like let's say it's a content agency example, right? Something like that, right? That takes a little bit to onboard and to actually start getting results, but you can promise amazing results for your clients, right? So in the week 1, they might be saying, okay, paid whatever amount last week, got on one email about setup. Is this done? What are they even working on my account, setting up my ads? Do I have, and I didn't even finish this. Do I have to do anything? Or to really ask them for them to update me. Maybe I should have gone with the other agency. They start thinking this because they haven't received updates, right? So in the first 2-3 weeks, it's super important to just make sure that we consistently, number one, give them control over what they're doing and give them the illusion that they have control over you, right? And that's just basic psychology. If they have the illusion they have control over what they just bought, which is technically true because they can just stop paying you and you won't provide the service. But they have control onto each part of your work. And that's what we're going to get into. So still nothing, just another progress update email. This feels like a scam. Where are my results? That is in week 2. Like maybe they don't think this like constantly, but this thought is these thoughts are going to be here, and as week 4 comes, they're going to be much more stronger. As you can see, I'm paying premium prices for what? Should I be asking for a refund? This isn't working, etc. By week 4, you'll be, if your setup process takes 4 weeks, you shouldn't even do a monthly for the first initial setup, honestly. But yeah, wasted a whole month, bleeding money. Have to find someone who actually delivers. This actually means trying to find someone that actually explains every single deliverable and telling me how it's going to help my business grow and contribute to the business outcome I was sold to. So that's what they mean by actually, let me find someone who actually delivers. Because you might be getting them hundreds of leads, hundreds of book calls. But if you can't actually show it in a way that, they feel they have control on, they won't be able to capitalize on it, maybe, and they won't be able to achieve as much results as you want them to. And subconsciously, it's just going to be a bad experience for the client. Maybe it's good for revenue numbers for them. It can be better, number one, and it's going to be a bad experience on working together with you, even though the outcome is good, right? As compared to other agencies that are doing this. We will try to fix all of these now to go here and to achieve all of these outcomes, right? So we want to have 2 times at least a better client experience, like I said before. And this is guaranteed, like 2 to 3 times the amount of client experience is always it's always going to be this counts when we actually interview our clients, right? When we set up these systems for them. And then 10 plus, don't for you, scaled this stuff to 6 figures, right? This is some implementation stuff we do for them, and they have scaled their fulfillment systems to over 6 figures, which means they're able to deliver for hundreds of clients. And this is one of the main most important steps in the interface components. We also have team member interface and stuff like that, but that's going to be for another video. I have a bunch of videos on that. And then best client reduce churn by 70%. Like I said, with this, just by implementing this, right? So same service quality, better perception, maybe even bettering the service quality. But yeah, this allows us to do a lot depending on the service, right? And I'm going to go over the root cause and why they think, how they think, right? So first of all, in the current delivery model example, we got emails and expectation on onboarding, right? And maybe there's a lot of work that's been happening on week 1, week 2, week 3, and we're on the roots of the service, right? We're on the roots of the service. We have the tree hasn't come up, but it's like a bamboo, right? This is a normal tree, but I should have just put a bamboo here. The service is growing below, but it hasn't spiked because we still don't see the leads coming in. We still don't see the content being posted, etc. But we're building all the backend that's going to allow us to scale, right? And the client needs to be able to see that. That's just the main specific problem we have for this. And then as the service is happening, we can have a really a good tree, right? I'm just using the tree example now. But if we can't actually see that tree every day and be reminded that that tree is growing, right? Then it's like that tree is not growing at all. If we add measurements to that tree growing, let's say it's a tree and we add measurements that it's growing, like let's say this is week 1, this is week 2, this is week 3, week 4 we start. And if we don't have measurements right here on how we are actually delivering the business outcome we promised, they're going to get confused. No one's going to know what's happening, and they're going to basically churn right here. And that's why one of the main causes of churn. So what they see is silence, and then dump of work. Some things that they think are over here, but our little refresh is what's the direct ROI in this? What's tangible outcomes from getting over the time for this service? Anxiety, doubt, questions asked, lack of trust, and churn requests before results even come, right? So what can you actually do about it? Let's go over this, okay? I mentioned that I mentioned, right? Let me just repeat whatever I said. I mentioned that by implementing client interfaces and dashboards, we are going and, of course, delivering a high-quality service. If you don't have a high-quality service already that's proven with over 5 clients, just click off because this is not going to help you as well as if you were to have a proven service, have proven results and everything. And this is going to really exponentially grow your client experience, right? What is a client interface and dashboard? We're going to go over that in a bit. But yeah, there are a few other factors that improve client experience and reduce churn and everything. Main ones being the communication experience and seamlessness of the service, right? If you don't have like a specific straightforward process already, you kind of need to work on your process and data flow already first, so that then you can build an interface on that and reference all that stuff inside of there, right? And a communication framework is just going to be you're reaching out to the client X amount of days and basically having that relationship with the clients, right? That's one of the most important things. It goes 50-50 with this, what I'm going to talk about, right? So the core principle is more deliverables without more work. That's what we're trying to achieve. More, seem better without putting in the extra hours, right? And we can take a shift from, like I said, one big delivery per month to 20 plus micro deliverables throughout the month. That's happening, right? Even though it's the same amount of work, it's going to be, you can imagine, 20 times better client experience. They're experiencing every day what they actually paid for, right? Instead of just one time and being updated one times a month. Reminded that, and every other day they're reminded like what do I actually pay for, right? So a client's still human. He is emotional and sometimes acts out of emotion and not logic. And this has happened to all of us. So we have to take this info and start figuring out what is the reason, right? If we 20x what they see and give them an illusion of control, they'll be happy to stay 2 to 3 times as long for the same amount of work. Even though the service quality is the same, this stays the same, stays static. Let's say this stays completely static. Yeah, you're basically going to be able to quantify their investments, CROI metrics, etc. I'm going to go over a little bit more of the specifics, like the 4 categories of interface pages we need to set up. But it's our job as service providers to provide that, right? And even if you're not looking for the 2 to 3x client churn, 2 to 3x reduced client churn, right? It's our job as service providers to basically provide an outcome and work with the clients and give them enough information to make them realize that we are actually getting close to the outcome, right? So how does this actually look like in place? I'm going to go over that. How does this look like in place? So this stuff that I'm going to be talking about specifically works really, really well for done for you and done with you services, right? Even you can combine them. Right now in my offer, I have a done for you components, and then I have done with you components, right? So we built a fulfillment system that is able to capture both of these and work simultaneously to be able to calculate insane metrics that I couldn't ever imagine, right? So this is really great for both of these. Before you done do it yourself kind of workflows and service packages, an interface like this is not gonna really work. And I would recommend to offer it through something like a school or other type of or WAP, other type of communities, because this is more for deliverables that need to be done for the client, right? You can track deliverables when it's do it yourself, but it's mostly you give out and then you don't expect anything in return, right? So once they're in, they do it themselves and you just provide the information, right? So if you're selling info, this kind of is not going to be for them. Implement info though in every single one of our client businesses. Like if you don't have info here, you're also kind of cooked because you're going to be doing repeatable information over and over. But that stuff is for another video. Like if you have a done for you service, done with you service, you should keep watching it and you should implement everything we're going to say. So the 4 sections, right? We're going to have 4 different categories for these kind of interfaces, and the 4 of these achieve a different outcome, right? And we're going to have project tracking and action, which basically tracks all the project management stuff. What does this mean? Like, let me put an example for you. Content agency. What do they need to do before we actually deliver the content, right? We need to talk to the founder, right? We need to put together a content a content backend engine, right? That's going to be specific for the clients. That's going to have all the information for the clients, their tone of voice documents, all that sort of stuff that the client doesn't see. They might see it in the Slack message, but they don't have access to it in an easy way, right? All of that stuff. Well, that's going to be in the deliverable specific, but I'm going to go over that in a bit. All the progress on that stuff and how that stuff is being created as time goes on, as the days goes on, that should be tracked. And that really gives the client like confidence to say, okay, Diego's doing the work, whatever, John is doing the work for me. So I'm chilling, I don't need to be worrying about asking him, which is super a red flag when you're being asked what your service is looking like, when you should take on the responsibility, put in your path and actually deliver this kind of stuff, right? Then we got deliverable specific, right? What this just means is that we are also going to be able to, give them access to these kind of deliverables, like their content engine, right? We're going to be able to give them access to their past call transcripts, be able to gather summaries on those call transcripts, right? And they're going to be able to see all the stuff that you've done aside from like the main service, which might be the outcome, right? The results. And I'm going to go over that in a bit. They're going to be able to see, let's say you're doing a content agency, just to keep it simple for the whole example. We're just going to do that, right? For the content agency, it'll be, of course, all the content. They'll be able to see all that flow. Not only that, they're going to be able to see their documents. They're going to be able to see their tone of voice documents. Yeah. Whatever we built for them, that's not directly that, but that's also that. We want to be able to show them that. And as we go on, and without this, they don't feel like they're in control, really. Then we have performance metrics, of course. For every service, I think we should have performance metrics. Of course, for stuff like organic content marketing and lead gen is going to be easier. But even if you're providing a consulting service / done for you components, we should track components metrics every single month if you're doing recurrently, or if you're doing a one-time thing, it should be once you start and once you end, right? Or maybe you determine like they get better results in terms of like percentage changes when it's 1 month after that. So you take it 1 month after that, right? So we can track that. But I always recommend, always once a month, really. And this is just going to be able to quantify their investment. You can show their investment versus how much money we basically made you or saved you if you're running like an AI agency. And yeah, basically that's going to be performance metrics. And then we're going to have documentation and video. Documentation and video is just going to be like the implementing information for our process to be better, right? We can, for done with you components, you're going to assign clients tasks within the progress tracking in action. We're going to be able to see deliverables. We're going to be able to see what the client needs to do, whether they need to review some posts for the content stuff, right? And then right here, we are going to link it to documentation and video pages that are going to show them exactly how to do that so that they take less time, so that on your end, you're more efficient and it's all in one place, which is crazy, right? So yeah, I'm just going to show you, let's just keep going because I already explained all of this pretty much, exactly how to perform a certain task using a specific system, anything that they can benefit from in the service that they can and should do themselves. You end up telling your ideal clients, right? Like I said before, anything repetitive that you always tell them. And on documentation and video, you can also add stuff like the project proposal, like the current service terms, etc. Right? Finally, let's see some examples of these. And if I have time, I'm just gonna show you how I would build my own and how I would plan it. Since I'm doing that at the same time I'm recording. So yeah. So let's see some example for all of these. This is a full stack content agency. LinkedIn, as you can see, they create lead magnets, LinkedIn posts, X posts, long form content, email content. We're going to have of course, the metrics dashboard. We're going to have the management, which is kind of the deliverables section. And then we're going to have a calendar, which is some additional information. As you can see, we have the content hub. On the content hub, they're going to have their documentation and video. And on the, well, this is a performance for each post, right? But they can quantify the investment, I think, in the content hub section right here. But yeah, let's go into like how the actual management works. And this is like deliverable specific. In this case, is going to be LinkedIn posts. This is, as you can see, this is going to be how they can look at the stuff they need to check. And this is updated, automatically, right? They can approve the posts, if the posts they want, and then they can take a look at, basically look at over at each post. This is just my post example, but yeah, they have control over the service, if that makes sense. And if they modify something, the internal team is going to be updated so that we can actually get to work on this, right? Let's say they approve this post, whatever post, they're going to go here and approve it, whatever. And we're going to notify the internal team that, we need to actually schedule this, right? If it's not automated already, right? So, and yeah, they can take a look at all their published posts, published metrics, baseline, etc. This was just a LinkedIn example we have, but we have YouTube, X, everything. So as for lead gen plus setting agency example, so this is going to be a setting agency. I actually work with them and we design like a quick, portal hub, that we designed in about 1 day. The clients can access, this is what we implemented. And as soon as we, set this in place, the client churn problem stop happening. This is why I say this is like one of the most important things you should implement like today, if you can, to help with that problem if you're dealing with that, right? And even if you're not, this will 2 to 3 times client experience, right? So as you can see, this is like the hub where they can see the details, campaign metrics, appointment book details, and everything. If they need help, of course, they can go to the Slack channel group. And as you can see, if they go to your details, they're going to be able to see their details of the campaign, like campaign statuses, campaign scripts, your lead list, the actual proposal, and everything. It's just a quick variation, and it should look a lot nicer than this, but this is something quick that we set up that worked really well. And as you can see, they can directly go to their Slack channel within this page. And they can access their metrics. So let's say book deployments, total calls, total follow-up calls, total not interested. These are all tracked in this interface, and every day they can just hop in after 9 p.m. Eastern time and look at the updated metrics for the day, right? So this is really, really key because we're able to show every part of the service without actually having to put in the more work, right? And they are having control. This is almost building like a SaaS for them, right? It's just another deliverable that we can seem 100 times more professional and deliver better outcome for their comfort, for their minds, right? So as you can see, they have access to their appointments that are booked, lead name, book time. They can even open the details, right? They can open the details for the appointments and they can see everything. So they have control. These are the people that are going to be calling. They set appointments and then they close deals for them. So it's a full service package. So it's a lead gen plus setting. And then once the appointment is booked, they can put in the closers and close for them. But all of this is taking into account every single part of the service, right? So if you have a more complex service, then you're going to build a little bit more complexity around it and have, basically have different, outcomes you should split it up into, right? So appointments booked is outcome number 1. Leads called this, it's outcome number 1, then appointments booked is outcome number 2, and then closed deals is outcome number 4, which is not here, but I couldn't share that because that involved a lot of numbers and charts. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna build this out in your own business. and I'm going to show you just basically the steps. And if I have time, I'm going to build it out myself so that it's scalable, automated, and does not require an additional minute to manage once it's fully set up. So once you build the MVP for this or the final version you want, this shouldn't be something that is taking you a lot of time to edit, right? This shouldn't be taking you another extra minute to set up. But it's a system that once it's built out, like I said, it's going to improve client delivery by 2 to 3 times. And it's going to be able to scale with you to wherever you go, because this is the power of dynamic interfaces, right? So let me go over what you need to have in order to build this. And yeah. So first, you're going to need a solid database foundation. So I recommend to use Airtable. For most agencies we work with, we use Airtable to build a solid backend foundation. And we combine both their project management and their actual deliverables inside of Airtable, right? So you can build custom for the interface. We usually go with Airtable directly interfaced, or we can use other integrations tools like Software. We do that as well for bigger teams and for bigger amount of clients. We usually you just do Software, and when a lot of client feedback is needed, then we leverage pre-built forms, workflow triggers that are already set up for the automation layers and data sync processes. So you should already, number one, build your entire database foundation for this. You should know how data flows in your business, like when onboarding, then, you create the content and then you store the content and everything. You should already know this, and you should have it dialed down in the solid database foundation. Statuses, fields, and everything. You should already do this, and you can leverage my other content and frameworks for these. I'm not going to go over into how to actually build that kind of thing. But then after you just build this out, and after you have the automation layer and solid database foundation, you don't need to be worrying about where the data is going to be coming from, right? So I recommend to first, set up this for first few clients. Actually start using the database first so that we can get data into the interface. And then you basically map the interface after like a month of constantly using it. And now you can actually display data, right? But yeah, after you do this and after you set this up, you're just going to give access to this interface for your clients when they're onboarding. And then you don't need to be worrying about it ever again, right? So we do page mapping for the 4 core sections, progress tracking in action, role-specific reviews, performance metrics, and documentation and videos. Then we actually are going to build out these options by stage. You can start off maybe with the Google Sheets in a dashboard. You'd have to duplicate it per client. But like I said, I really, really recommend to use Airtable for the interfaces, since you'll just add a client as you're working internally. It will be updated dynamically in terms of ROI and everything. And you can build, the 3 main dashboards that you'll be needing for your business inside of this same specific base, right? And you'll be able to manage everything that comes with fulfillment. That's what we built for our clients, and entirely from start to end. So yeah, I would strongly recommend to use Airtable interfaces. And also you can do a custom software solution where you could just build an interface that pulls data from one of these databases, either Google Sheets or Airtable, and displays it in a nicer way, pretty much, if you want to do that. That's for more scalable services like, I don't know, that are doing $200,000 to $300,000 a month and that are more done with you, I would say. So for sure, then you provide guidance on how to use it. I usually just record a Loom like this one I'm recording right now, should be giving as soon as possible to the clients. And you actually add this to the documentation stuff as well. You add it here, and then you're going to share this interface with the client along with the Loom, and then they get access to the interface and they follow the steps, and then they can watch the course. They can do everything themselves, right? Even if it's fully done for you service, you should also provide videos on how it works and everything. So yeah, take notes on questions, document and repeat. Soon enough, you won't have to worry about it at all. Take notes on what people ask you for the interface, iterate a little bit, And after 1 to 2 months, you don't have to iterate again, and you'll have this system delivering 2 to 3 times more contributions to your clients staying longer, pretty much. So I'm just gonna be building out like the base structure of this on how I would plan it. So let's say I want to build my own agency page in 5 minutes. How I would do it, just lastly before we go, let me just go over what I would do, and then just give you some advice on what you can do as well, right? So what I want, let's map everything out, and we're not gonna actually build it today. I'm gonna be releasing a video on how to actually build databases and interfaces in Airtable. I already have released it. You can go to it on my YouTube page. Um, but yeah, we're just gonna plan it, kind of set the framework on how we should actually plan this out and actually build it, right? Because this is really the build part of it, and this is the complex part of it. And then once you build it, it's just displaying all the data nicely, adding stuff for clients, how they would see stuff and everything. And this is a part that requires really the thinking and the framework behind it, right? So what I want is my clients being able to quickly see project progress and how timelines are working, right? I want to have deliverables. So I have different deliverables that we build for our clients, right? So I have databases that I need to build for clients. I have automation workflows I need to build for clients, agents that I build for clients, documentation hubs I build for clients, Slack infrastructures that I place for our clients as well. So all of that needs to be tracked somewhere. And that's why we already designed like a very, very solid foundation in terms of everything that goes in the service, right? So yeah, what I'm gonna be needing is just gonna be, let's just gonna do a deliverable section, split up by components. And what I mean by this is, in the database component, we're going to have like the human resources management, which helps managing the pipeline. And then we're going to have the fulfillment management build out we usually do for clients, and any other customs. Like that's three deliverables inside of one component, right? So we need to decide the logic on how to do this, right? We already did this, as you can see, but another section is going to be the number sections. So we just need to display like in progress at the top. So numbers in progress of deliverables. Maybe we can have the average deliverable time to deliver and everything. And let's see how that would look like. But then what I already have is, yeah, and that's pretty much it. We don't want them to edit really. We want them to add comments maybe. So we can have a add comments form as well. And yeah, we just pretty much need that really to build the MVP and to have them achieve the outcome, because the outcome is for them to see the progress in all of these and add comments, right? So what I already have a robust internal database where I do all the works on all levels regarding fulfillment. So as you can see, we got phases and then we have deliverables. Both of these are linked to client projects, and then both of these are linked to tasks. So the basic unit of work is going to be tasks, and that's how we track how much total time we spend on total client project. We just sum the client deliverables, client phases, and the time we spend on those, and just sum it up. And that's how we get super accurate data on our fulfillment. And yeah, it definitely took a bit of time to build all of this out, but you need to account for everything like the payments you get for clients, the client snapshots, which this is basically another word of saying client metrics. And we also take content specific metrics inside of the client's business. So we track every single hour every team member on the client actually spends on what they're spending. So we can basically compare that after and fulfill our guarantee of, automating 80% of the founder's work or something like that the guarantee we set at the beginning, right? And yeah, we're going to have all of these tables kind of play out. They have, hundreds of fields combined, that are really, really going to be, determining how the service is going to play out, right? And yeah, all the data fields are being used, set up, and a flow of information is coming in constantly. Every time I First, I deliver an invoice. As soon as a client pays, they go into this, tasks are generated, contracts are put in place. We modify the calls, so calls are being set in place. So yeah, there's a lot of opportunity to build here, but I'm just gonna do the focus on the deliverables part right here, because I think that's pretty basic, and yeah, that's a lot of people would find value in that. So what I need to be contained in the interface, you already said, like the number of progress of deliverables, the deliverable sections split up by component, and the add components form, right? That's what we're gonna need to build out, right? So yeah, and how it works is pretty straightforward. You just put it together. I'm just gonna show a quick example on how I put it together in 5 minutes, okay? So let's go, and I'm going to show you guys. So as you can see, I just went here and took like, 8 minutes, and I created this stuff right here, which is going to be the homepage, and it's going to be the deliverables/core systems. And the homepage, you're going to be able to log in with their accounts, figure out how you're going to get users to access their own specific data, because you don't want clients to actually start using other people's data. As you can see, we're going to have the homepage, additional support. They're going to be able to go into their Slack channel in the future. But I just designed a quick page we wanted. We're going to have every system we're building for their fulfillment engine, and from databases to AI agents. Let me quickly link something to this so you guys can see how this actually looks like. So yeah, this is how it actually looked like if I were in a client account. So yeah, this is pretty much like most of the deliverables we do for clients. So it's a total of 17. Deliverable average completion rate, a first deliverable start date, last deliverable optimization date. And then we can go into details and see everything right here, right? So direct business outcome. We're going to have a channel, the details on the deliverable, the complexity score. We're going to have the tools we're going to be using. This is going to be communication infrastructure. So of course, it's going to be done on Slack, and the completion percentage. And this is all tracked of this. Let me go back here to the Miro. So yeah, as you can see, this is a super, super valuable system you can implement right now within your agency, and deliver 2 to 3 times the amount of clients that actually retain, right? And because I don't say this because of just in my mind, I say this because we've implemented this over and over in a bunch of other systems like this one, and we have delivered that outcome. So I'm not just creating this out of thin air, right? So last thing, if you're a business owner, more specifically, or if you're an online agency or consultancy that is looking to scale on the deliverable side and on their fulfillment, client delivery, and everything, we work with over 10 agencies now, helping them achieve this exact outcome, which is 2 to 3 times their client intake capacity without adding additional headcount or just reducing your workload. Maybe you just don't want to be fulfilling for clients anymore, but you still want to keep the same service model, right? And don't transition into info. That's what we're here for, right? We're going to build everything for you, but first we need to see if we're actually a fit. So, to see if we're a fit, just book a call down below. If not, you're welcome to just keep watching these videos and implement this stuff yourself. And that's it for me today. I'll see you next video on how to build these systems, and bye-bye.